Welcome to Far East Wargaming, bringing you another Heresy Thursday. I'm Richard, your host, and once again joining me is Jason.
Hello everyone, glad to be back.
This week we're looking at the latest announcement from Warhammer community for the Horus Heresy, and we're pretty excited because they've released another new model.
Yeah, this one's not Legion specific, so we now have the Loyalist Legion Overseer. So this particular console choice was available in the Beta Garmon book, so that may be why some of you may not be familiar with it if you don't have that book and you haven't played it or read it. But yeah, we have a new generic console model for the Loyalists, and I think this one has a lot of potential.
I do as well. The Overseer is a console that slipped me by because, as you said, it is in the Beta Garmon book. And it's not really something we ever looked at. We have a lot of consoles to choose from. Few and far between are useful in my opinion here. And I think I put the Overseer in that category as well. Because if we just talk about the Overseer console and not the model itself first, it is basically the Commissar in a Space Marine outfit because he is in control of the Solar Auxiliary Las Rifle sections or the Imperialist Militia Infantry squads. And you get to take, I think it's 3 units as a retinue. How much you're actually going to use that in an Age of Darkness game is honestly up to you, but I would say nearly never.
Yeah, so let's talk about the rules, I guess, first, right? Like, it allows you to take the up to 3 units of Solar Aux or Imperialist militia, but there's absolutely no reason to take them militia. They're just not very good unless you're just trying to save points. Some legions are going to get more use out of this guy than others. That's just the fact, because part of the Overseer's retinue rule is he grants the Legion Astarte special rule to those units that he takes it with. But again, it's the Solar Aux, it's not the militia. So some of the Legion rules are going to be completely ineffective on them, right? So for example, Death Guard being able to move and shoot. Well, that's not going to really benefit the Solar Aux very much because they're not going to have any heavy weapons really in their squads for that. So that's an example of a unit that probably wouldn't take this guy. But I could see some legions getting a lot of use out of them. So, for example, Iron Hands being able to reduce the incoming fire strength could be useful to keeping your Solar Aux alive a little bit. You can potentially get just more bodies that you have use out of. But from a rules perspective, I think it's a bit wonky, and that's probably the reason why we don't see this this unit used very often.
Yeah, it's a console, so it's 60 points for the console himself. And if you're following as is for this guy, you have to do, I think it's a 25-point upgrade to make him the Overseer. You have to spend 10 points for this pistol he has, and then another 15 points for the maul. And honestly, if you were looking at an Overseer, I would have liked to see this come with the option of his other special weapon, which is the Lash there. But we don't have options for that. But again, I think the main thing is for this is you're not going to be using this model as the Overseer because there's so much versatility here.
Oh, totally agree with you. Agreeing with everything that you said. I'll do a little shout out for some of the nerds out there that have been around for a long time. The chest on the model looks almost identical to the old Space Wolves 40K Grey Slayers. The Mini Marine Grey Slayer had a chest with this exact same trim. It didn't have the winged skull, but it had that kind of filigree trim along the edge. So I wouldn't be surprised if whoever sculpted this used that as a basis for this body, but that's just a little useless piece of information. Yeah, I mean, this model screams Chaplain. Got the Crozius up in his hand, very well decorated, armor, imposing, showing authority. That to me looks like a great one. Could be a champion as a good base. That would be another option I think that this model would fit really, really well with. He could be even, if you change that model or that weapon in his hand, it's a nice pose for even a Praetor. right? Like you can just do so many different things with this particular model. And I don't really see a lot that I don't like. I don't like the plasma pistol just because plasma pistols are useless. And I don't really like the bare head. But other than that, I think this model can just be used as a base for so many different console or HQ choices.
I think really that is what I have got out of this. I love what they've done for the model. Look, release it as an Overseer if you want to release it as an Overseer. But I see so much convertibility here. A head swap here can change things. I actually like that head for a champion because of the laurel on his head there. Of all of the headgear, the sideways headgear like this is how I prefer it. I really don't like the mohawk, and this is the way I prefer to see the headgear there. We can't see too much of the pauldrons, which again is a pity, and I wish they'd shown us more of this in the preview. We can just see the edges of this one picture, but it looks like we have some wings of some sort. And again, I don't think a pauldron swap on this model is going to be too hard if they've made it versatile. I just think this model has so many bits that can be used somewhere else, so many things that you could convert it to. Swapping out the hand, swapping out the head, taking off the banner at the back, leaving it on to be a version of a herald if you wanted to, or just a standard vexilla for like a veteran squad, things like this. I really like what they've done and how they've left it. It could be, to me, also be used for the traitors as well. I don't see anything on this that is loyalist specific per se. I don't see really any Aquillas there, which they shouldn't have because we're in the 30k. Those are the Aquillas on the knees, I guess, or if you can consider those Aquillas. But very usable for nearly every legion, or if not every legion.
Totally agree. Don't disagree with anything that you just said. As always, when they release these new models, it remains to be seen how convertible they're going to be because of the way they get assembled, whether or not the pauldrons are built into the body or partially built into the backpack. I mean, they've done all these kinds of things on other models, and we just won't know until we get this one. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this thing would even fit in with Emperor's Children. It would fit in as a great Blood Angels character. Like, there's just so many different legions that you could use this guy with. And noticing at the bottom of the article, we're going to get a Traitor Overseer model, which will be very interesting. We'll just have to see how over the top he is with chaotic iconography, or whether his weapon loadout will be different. But yeah, not bad, GW. I honestly don't have a lot of complaints about this particular model at all. You know, I think my beef, and it seems to be yours as well, is more on the rule side.
Yeah. Again, I think sometimes they hit it out of the park, sometimes they don't. I think we saw with the big hammer, we had a lot of controversy on who liked a big hammer and who didn't. Here, there's very little I think we can find fault for it. Personally, for me, the only downside of this model is I am not a huge fan of the direction the design team have taken with the extra weapons, these leather holsters and all this stuff. Just not to me in the lore or in anything I read from the lore on what the Space Marines carry around. Maglock seems to be things of the past, and I just don't quite understand it. But I'm nitpicking here. And the downside is I don't think you could remove it either, because it looks like this there is sculpted onto the model. Again, if you're really good with a knife and a bit of putty, maybe you can remove this from the model there. But if I had to say anything, I wish they would stop putting plasma pistols. I think you said this already. Plasma pistols is something I don't agree with on any of the models as standard. Especially we've got them in the plastics for our Mark 6s, and I haven't put any plasma pistols on any of my Mark 6s. I've found ways to convert them out. It's just a waste of points, and it's just not worth it for me. And it's being the only option, I think, is a big miss.
Totally agree. Yep, no further comment for me. I think you summed it up really well.
Well, look, guys, this is all they've released for us for the Horus Heresy for this week. Again, they've announced something for next week, but next week is also going to be Boxing Day, I believe, on the Heresy Thursday. So we'll see if they release anything on Boxing Day. But from us at Far East Wargaming, let us know what you think of this guy. Do you like him? Can you already see what you're going to convert this guy into? Jason and I think, already have some pretty clear ideas in our mind where this is going. Of all the models I've seen released in resin, this is actually the only one that screams to me, I have to get this. All the other ones have been kind of nice to have. this one here, just because of its versatility, is I'm getting at least one for the Dark Angels, and I will probably pick one up for my Emperor's Children. Jason, are you going to pick up one for every single one of your legions?
No, no. I mean, I'm not always that guy. I promise I'm not. But no, I can definitely see him fitting into quite a few different legions and has a few different HQ choices if I don't convert up my own through other means. So yeah, definitely at least one, possibly two. We'll see.
Yeah. My Dark Angels need some HQs. He is most likely going to be one of them, because I'm not sure if you've seen the Dark Angels HQ with the boarding shield. Very hard to convert that into something decent, I think, if you don't want to keep a breacher shield or a boarding shield on that guy. This here, lots of potential opportunities for me. Very happy with this model. Again, let us know what you think. Positives or negatives. We're happy to have a chat in the comments. We like to have a discussion with you guys. This has been short and sweet, but if you have liked it or you thought it's valuable, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. And any last words from you, Jason?
No, just thanks again for listening if you're still here after this time, and we appreciate all that support, the comments, everything else. Keep it coming, and as always, we will catch you on the next one.